Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And obviously, the pre-patch came out, our talent trees were reset, our UIs were completely wiped, and it is just a complete fiesta in terms of trying to figure out what the heck it is that we need to be doing. So the purpose of today's video is to go through a build that I've constructed for the Balance Druid during this pre-patch time, so you can maximize your damage and get the most from it. Because from my experimentation, if you don't pick the right talents on a lot of specializations, your performance is going to severely suffer. It is obvious that these talent trees are not optimized for level 80. They're optimized for level 90, the max level in Midnight. So I'm going to be reviewing rotation. We're going to be reviewing strategy and like what are the goals with the specialization, so you can absolutely smash it out of the park. So our talent tree is here and it's displayed as such, and you can see that I'm actually playing Elune's Chosen, and I actually am preferring this build at the moment. The main reason is that Star Surge for some reason does a lot less damage at this level, so I'm playing a Starfall build that focuses around proccing Fury of Elunes, keeping dots up, and starfalling around and providing you Solstice, which is a really important component. So we're going to be proccing a lot of free Starfalls, a lot of free Star Surges, rotating between those two in order to just call down Star Bombs and call down all of these procs, and you will do a tremendous amount of damage, especially in random battleground scenarios if that's something that you're going for right now. But you can also use this build in Arena. It's basically just versatile across the whole game. That's the main reason that I constructed it as I did. You can see on the PvP talents, we still run Alkin Frenzy. This is just really nice for fast Cyclones. It's also really nice for stacking up multiple times to get multiple instant Starfires, which are very important with this talent because it will have a 20% chance to make one of your Star Surges or Starfalls free. So you get the instant proc Starfires, you cast the Starfire out, and you can get a free Star Surge. So there's really good synergies there. Moonkin Aura is obviously just very great value, even despite getting nerfed earlier on in the War Within, because it's going to just provide you and your allies some critical strike chance. And then Starburst, I decided to kind of take a playback with this one just because we're playing a Starfall build. It doesn't do the hugest amount of damage, but the knockups can be really disruptive in a lot of cases I've found. So you just focus on kind of kiting away, running away, and getting a lot of this off. Now, I did try Full Moon, and I tried Fury of Elune. If you are able to free cast, Full Moon can be a lot of fun. So in larger group PvP combat where you might be able to stand further away and kind of just go at it, you can actually play Full Moon. But if you feel like you're getting attacked a lot, you can't cast, and you're really struggling, Fury of Elune is just as good. So those are kind of the two situations where you may want to flip these talents around. Full Moon in general is just doing quite a bit more damage than before, and that's why I decided to bring Orbit Breaker back into the mix, which is shooting stars, just has a chance to call in Full Moon. So you can see with the Held the Stars talent calling in Solstice, shooting stars having a chance then to give us full moons, and then proccing Fury of Elunes, things get very crazy very quickly. It's a very fun build, very visual build as well. So I would recommend this as like a beginner boom, because for the most part your rotation is going to look something like just keeping dots up. So we get dots up on everything. We can pop our Fury of Elune, we can pop our Trents. Now you want to Eclipse first, because you can Incarn while also in Eclipse. And you can see while I'm spamming Starfall, I'm getting these free Star Surges. If you run on Energy, you can Wrath. Obviously, if you get the free Starfires or the instant cast Starfires, you can then cast the Starfalls with those, and then you can Incarn immediately after and continue going about your rotation in the same fashion and just proccing a lot, getting a lot of DPS. I should really set this to DPS. I don't know what it is about this damage meter, but it just resets every time you log. But AoE situations, I was doing quite a significant amount of overall damage. You can see those procs are always so nice. If you miss that kind of like old school proc gameplay, you can still kind of achieve that. But I do really like doing Eclipse into Incarn, because you can get that little kind of bump of damage right at the start of it with this Balance of All Things talent. And because you can't, basically you can activate Incarn while in Eclipse, but you can't activate Eclipse while in Incarn. So like so you can double tap it and get like a big bang with a double activation if you do it basically the 3-second window, one after the other. But you can't do it in reverse. So I do like chaining the Eclipse first and then going into Incarn. It's basically the most complicated part of the class, and it's mostly for that 3-second window where Solstice is up also, so you get more full moon procs. This is just going to give you more rot. This is why it's important to like go over the basic rotation. So how you want to think about it is, if you have an Eclipse available, which is now obviously an active ability, you want to go into Eclipse, and then you want to Incarn after that little initial window. Watch when I press Eclipse here, I get a bunch of buffs, right? So once these buffs at the top are gone, basically, that's when I would want to pop my Incarn, because then it will reset those buffs. It gives you a huge swing of burst AoE basically. And you can't weak, or you can't, I was about to say weak aura is gone, but you can't cancel it. You can't cancel Aura of the Eclipse. But you can cancel Aura by going into Incarn, which will give you that big window at the top. That's why I've taken a bunch of these talents that focus on the beginning of the Eclipse or focus on the beginning of the Incarnation, because these give you a huge swell of damage. They give you more Solstice uptime, leading you to proccing more full moons, and then leading you to proc more Fury of Elunes as well through this talent, and then obviously your on-use Fury of Elune comes through into the mix as well. There have been some changes as well to your talents on the left side here. So when playing Elune's Chosen, I don't run any talents of Forest Walk. I think generally a lot of Boomkins don't run it anymore, just because regrowth is an instant, so it's a lot harder to actually access. I was running Typhoon with the Gale Winds Typhoon, so you get like a little bit more knockbacks, because this build's just all about stay in the back, spam lasers from the sky, and just erase people in front of you basically, and just try and top the damage meter. So I've been enjoying this, but you can flip this out for decurse obviously if you need it in any of those types of situations. We also have Heart of the Wild, which is now completely different. The main use case of this is going to be going into bear form. So you can see my Heart of the Wild here on middle mouse button. It looks like a different icon. I don't know why it looks like this here in the talent tree, and it looks like this green thing on the thing, but it does. If you go in bear form, it changes icons. So it basically becomes Might of Ursoc. So it's like we lost renewal, but then we get this big Might of Ursoc, and then we can combo abilities like Frenzied Regeneration, which obviously scale on our percent-based health. So you want to think about Heart of the Wild as like this big buffer to your Frenzied Regen. You go into bear form, pop it, and then use Frenzied Regen. You get a much more significant heal from it, which is going to be very important, especially when you're fighting some big one-shot classes like Subtlety Rogue or Devourer or Demon Hunter. Now you can also flip around this talent, Incapacitating Roar for Mighty Bash. Incapacitating Roar with the damage threshold actually sits a lot of the time for like a couple of seconds, so it's a significantly lower cooldown in AoE CC. So if you want that to incap and knock enemies away or just disrupt a whole bunch of enemies, it's actually very underrated. But I prefer Bash in like one-on-one stance situations where I'm just going with one player. So Battlegrounds Incap Roar can definitely be very game-breaking, but Mighty Bash can save your butt a lot of the time, trying to get away from basically a one-on-one with a melee DPS like a warrior or a death knight or a ret paladin, which are very prevalent at the moment. But that's basically the gist of it. Main purpose of this is just having Engine with Fury of Elune and Force of Nature to generate us astral power. Getting procs and using our instant Starfire is very important with Touch of the Cosmos in order to get activation from our Eclipse, to gain buffs from Balance of All Things, and Astral Communion, and then obviously Solstice is then going to be proccing our Orbit Breaker, and we're just scaling a bunch of things together to try and maximize as much as we can, squeeze as much juice out of this build as we can, and that's the general strategy for it. So I appreciate you guys tuning into the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed playing your balance through it on the pre-patch. Let me know in the comments down below what specialization you'd like for me to cover next, because obviously the pre-patch is going to be going on for quite a while here, and I'm still going to be covering the max level beta, midnight beta content as well, and reviewing classes and all the like with that. So your support is greatly appreciated. We've been doing this for many years, and I do appreciate the fact that I can still do it. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you in the next one.